Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cadet First Class Ian Geneza. It is my privilege to welcome you to this 30th Annual National Character and Leadership Symposium Polaris Forum session. Our honored guest speaker for this afternoon's session is Dr. Dillon Small. Dr. Small is currently the Chief of Psychological Health at the United States Air Force Academy and oversees the Peak Performance Center. He is a high-performance psychologist and has devoted over 10 years to overcoming the ordinary by studying and teaming up with high performers as they work collaboratively to elevate their game in athletics, business, academics, and life. Dr. Small is an Air Force veteran with a doctorate of psychology in clinical psychology, Master of Arts in clinical psychology, and a Master of Arts in organizational communication. Dr. Small is also the CEO of an embedded school-based therapy organization providing in-school therapy to K-12 in the Colorado Springs metro area. He has logged hundreds of hours coaching, mentoring, and training high performers. He is a published author, national speaker, distinguished graduate of Squadron Officer School, certified executive coach, and lover of unleaded coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to present to you Dr. Dillon Small.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, NCLS. I was at the superintendent's house last night, and I'm looking around at Medal of Honor winners and Olympians, and I'm realizing I am the cheapest house on a really expensive block. And a realtor would tell you that's a steal, so I guess like in some ways this is okay. I want to be really honest with you that a durable mindset is something we continue to have to work on, including myself. And this morning I woke up with a plan. It was a really good plan. I love routine. Routines give us freedom, and they propel us to excellence. And the plan fell apart almost immediately. This was a rough morning. And so I don't know if you resonate with this, but immediately the thoughts start kicking in like, man, you just don't have it today. This is going to be a tough one. And then it grows, and it starts to lead into something like, and you're a terrible dad, and you're a worse husband, and it just goes from there. The mindset is such a critical piece of who we are and what we do. And if we're not constantly working towards building durability of mindset, we can get lost in the shuffle of life around us. Being great happens at home, happens in the dorm room, happens in the boardroom, it happens on the field. Being great towards something is what we're called to as humans. It's like such an honor to sit and talk with you today about what this looks like. I care deeply about bringing actionable principles on how to build a durable mindset to you. I care about acting on these daily. So you should have in your hand a performance playbook. It's a front and back sheet. If you don't have it, raise your hand, and my main man, Ian and Josh, they're gonna come hand it out. Yes, we got a few down here. We're gonna go through some performance principles. We have 10 of them that load into building a durable mindset. And as we go through these performance principles, I want you to fill them in. Some of them are gonna ask you to do some thought on it. And so we'll engage a little bit about what it looks like to operate on these principles toward a durable mindset. So let's launch. What exactly is a durable mindset? Well, a mindset is a set of principles or beliefs that you use to govern the way you manage life. We consult our mindset as we encounter challenges or incredible things, and that helps load us into a decision, and we're gonna go move based on that decision. A durable mindset helps you to have a frame that is steady and consistent and authentic, and we're gonna talk about all of those things. On your playbook, you're gonna see some of the hallmarks of a durable mindset, and you can see them up here as well. A durable mindset is that internal framework that lets you handle and manage stress. It encourages you to push into struggle, welcome difficulty and challenge, and it helps you understand that this is part of life. And if we need to get after understanding who we are in the midst of the chaos around us so that we can continue to push forward into excellence according to who we are at our core. I would love for you to take a minute and look through those principles on your playbook, and you can kind of think through, where am I with these? Do I fit these hallmarks of a durable mindset. Research continues to show us in failed leadership circles, many times what happens in that process of difficult leadership that didn't end up the way it was supposed to, it was a failure of the leader understanding what was happening to them in the midst of trying to lead a group. They either drove to burnout or they cowered in the corner and didn't make decisions. And this is true in the military, it's true in the boardroom, it's true at home. We earn the right to lead others well by learning to lead ourselves. I'd like to challenge you to think about how well we're leading ourselves and how that sets us up for success when we lead others. Authentically, confidently, proudly saying, I'm here for you to look at and partner with as we press towards something incredible. Leading ourselves is critical to leading others. In the world of performance psychology and pop psychology and TikTok and Instagram, we've got all of these thoughts about how we can get after life in a really high quality way. Do this, don't do this, cut this out. We talk about grit and we talk about resilience. We've got all these books and many of them are incredible. It's showing us that there are a few concepts. The science and practice of high performance bears out some really high quality concepts. We're going to talk about those today, 10 of them in fact. There's a lot of methods though that load into those concepts. So you may be thinking as we work through this, well, I've heard of this or this or this. And I'd like you to say to yourself, well, where does this method load into the concept? If the method works for you and it makes sense with the concept, this is wonderful. The concepts are few and the methods are many. Your first performance principle is that there are no hacks. If I were to ask you to start to build a house and you meet with the contractor and they say, it's going to take 6 to 9 months, it's going to be a beautiful house. And then I slide in and I say, you know what? I've got some great hacks. It's going to take 2 weeks. Do you trust me as your contractor? Do you worry about the foundation or the plumbing? For some reason in the mental domain, we seek out hacks. We want tricks. Building a durable mindset, just like figuring out how to run faster and farther, how to lift more, how to lose weight, these take effort and time. Hacks can be dangerous and problematic. There really are no hacks for a durable mindset. There's hard work based on some sets of principles, concepts that we know work really well. Let's dive into these together. Process over outcome. Process over outcome. So this is our principle number 2. We so often focus on outcomes. It's like baked into who we are from elementary school all the way on. Did you get an A? Did you pass this class? How fast did you run? Did the date go well? It's an outcome-driven set of variables that we look at to say, am I successful or not? Outcomes absolutely matter, for sure. It helps show us that what we're doing is worthwhile and it's leading us towards something we want to get to. The problem is, focusing only on outcomes forces us to exist in the future. And we have no control of the future. The only moment you can control is this one right here. This is the only moment you live in. Solely focusing on outcomes causes us to rely on uncontrollable variables in the future and causes us to live in an uncertain future. It's really difficult then to tie the outcome to our current action. What are we doing right now and why? The key to longevity, sustainability, the key to durability of any effort that you're getting after is honoring and enjoying the process. When we find ourselves fast forwarding to the future and getting stuck in an outcome-driven mindset, we can appreciate that outcomes are important. But it is the process that gets us there. We have to honor the process. Performance principle 3. I'm going to level with you and tell you this one's a risky one. I debated for weeks about if I'm going to include it. There's too much evidence to ignore. I have to tell you that you have to love yourself. And can I tell you this? You are worthy of love. Your DNA, the very fabric of your neurology, craves love and attention and connection, and that's okay. You have a good heart, and there's a purpose for you in this world, And you need to step into it because it's craving someone to show up authentically, fully who they are, ready to enact change. We do that by loving ourselves, by honoring ourselves. And I don't know who needs to hear this one, but if you are struggling with loving yourself, can I tell you that this is normal and it happens? It'll happen on sort of a cycle. And if you can't find a way out of the difficulty of not feeling love for yourself, there are people that want to help and they can help. And there is hope because of that. And this world requires you authentically loving yourself and stepping into the role that you want to play. You as a leader have to love yourself to love others. Loving yourself is key to leading well. This is Hadley. She's not 3 anymore. She's 3 in this picture. Hadley's a Spitfire. She is incredible. And I love every moment I get to spend with her. And I miss the times that I got to hold her in my arms. She would fall asleep and I'd lay her in the crib. I miss the times she would wake up and I would get to pull her out, right? I can remember when she started walking. I'm so thankful for who Hadley is now, and I love her fully. I also know that the work in her is not done. Hadley has so many places to go and things to do, and there's going to be scraped knees and challenges and runny noses. We talked about how you have to love yourself, and that's important, but I'm going to press on something right now that's uncomfortable. We've probably too often accepted the fact that we just need acceptance here and now without challenge. Well, just because I am who I am, I'm okay with that and you have to be okay with that. It is true, we need to love ourselves and we need to love others. But there's an and we are going somewhere. I love Hadley, my daughter, right now, and she has places to go. We can love ourselves now. That is only part of the story. We have to step into a future that we need to get to. And we have to understand, where am I now and where am I going? You're going to see in Performance Principle 4, I ask you that question. Where am I now? And where am I going? What is my next step? So often the outcome-driven world and our focus on trying to look like we're doing so much forces us into a degree of like showmanship or confidence that is totally inaccurate. It's totally unauthentic. You see on the screen here a spectrum of confidence, right? So on your left side, we've got zero confidence. This is someone that hides in the corner when challenge steps up. They do not want to press into something that might be difficult because they don't think they have what it takes. I don't want anyone to see me fail. I don't want to fail. I kind of feel like a failure. This is zero confidence, and it is fragile. They meet challenge, and what happens? They crumble, and they hide. On the far other end here, on your right side, you have a false confidence. I might suggest to you, humbly, a lot of us in this kind of an organization live on this side. I've been there frequently. This is a false confidence. It's someone says, you know what, I'm not going to show anyone that I have no clue what's going on, because that's embarrassing. I'm going to fake it until I make it. That person's whole life is predicated on not getting found out. I don't want you to know that I don't know what I'm doing, and so I'm just going to show up and pretend like I know what I'm doing. And I'm worried that you're going to discover it, so I'm not going to ask questions. I'm going to kind of hide when someone challenges me, or I'm going to like fight back a little bit. This is a fragile confidence also. In the middle is something authentic and real. And it says, you know what, I'm going to show up today, and I'm going to face challenge because I want to grow and get better. But can I tell you, I don't know all of what I'm doing. Can you help me out? Can you partner with me? Can we grow together? Can I be honest with you? I don't know the answer to this question. Can we push in together to something that's real and authentic? And can I confidently say, I'm here to do good work with you, and let's do this together? Managing where we're at on the confidence spectrum helps us understand where our durability of mindset is at. The polarities, the sides are fragile. In between is something hardy and real and durable. Performance Principle 5 here is talking about the voice in your head. You've been talking to yourself for a long, long time, and you may not have realized it. Can I ask you, if you could take the voice in your head and pull it out and set it next to you, would you be friends with the voice in your head? Like, on average, is this a really supportive, kind, warm, understanding voice? Welcoming you into difficulty and challenge because, you know what, we're going to figure this out. We've got partnership, we understand this is important, you're good. Or is the voice critical and harsh and condescending and biting? For most of us, this is where we tend to go. It's protective. It makes sense, right? It's telling you to run away from challenge and embarrassment and struggle. Hide yourself because you might get found out. The first time I realized that I could not stand the voice in my head was in graduate school, and we had a 3-day retreat in the mountains of Sierra Madre. And we went up there and we handed in all of our electronics, and we were in total silence and solitude for 3 straight days. And I'll tell you what, I thought it was going to be incredible. I was like looking forward to grad school credits to just be in the mountains and really quiet and alone and have no technology. And after about 5 minutes, I could have sworn that hours had passed, and I dreaded the rest of the time that was coming. I had no ability to live with myself and only myself because I never figured out what was going on in here. I never really recognized, how am I talking to myself? How do I manage my time? Why do I have to outsource my attention to something else all of the time in order to feel like there's goodness in this world, or that I'm contributing? It was a horrible experience, and I'm so thankful for it. We have to work to talk to ourselves like the best coach you've ever known. So on your performance playbook, I'm asking you to think through, what are some ways that you can talk to yourself when things get uncomfortable? When things get uncomfortable, how do you talk to yourself? We have to train this ability because for so long we've taught ourselves when things get difficult, we yell at ourselves and we tell ourselves to quit, and it's just so automatic we don't even question it. Training the voice in our head is a critical step toward a durable mindset. And understanding how we do that talk is one piece to get there. Performance principle 6. We have to get excellent at being consistent. No one is consistently excellent. If we expect to be consistently excellent, the moment we are not excellent, we've failed that mandate in our heads. And so what do we tend to do? We beat ourselves up. We pull back a little bit. We don't show up. The path to excellence is not this stepwise growth, right? Like tomorrow, all of a sudden, you're 50% better, and in 2 days, you're 100%. That's not how it works. It's also rarely linear. The path to excellence in sport, in academics, in life, really is hallmarked by some really incredible highs and some pretty low lows. But we want to raise the floor of the lows so that on average, daily, we begin to get better. And we do that by showing up. When things are difficult, we show up. We forego or we give up the need to consistently be excellent. And instead, we focus on being excellent at being consistent. Well, this loads into principle 7. Motivation follows action. It is not true that action requires motivation. We have to show up and begin the work, and then motivation shows up. The data on motivation supports the idea that when we stand up and move forward toward a goal, we then generate the energy to keep at it. If we wait for motivation to magically show up, we rarely get enough done in accordance with our goal. We tend to just sit there and we wait and we're thinking like, I need more motivation. You know what I need is more motivation. So what do? We go on like Instagram and we're trying to find the motivational posts, right? We might like go review our goals and then we just sit there and wonder, what do I do next? Well, here's what you do. You go do something. You show up. There are mornings where I wake up and I'm like, I just don't want to go to the gym today. and I go, and it's not a great time, actually. There's times where I wake up and I'm like, I want to go. This is great, and it's an incredible session. I get better not by staying home and not doing something. I get better by showing up and pressing in. We've heard a little bit from our cadets about this desire for some mental health bed rest days, and we're working through some of this. But can I tell you, some of what we have to think about is, well, isn't it important to show up even when we're not fully there? Isn't the tendency to want to show up only when we're 100% loading us into this world where we have to be perfect all of the time? And you just can't be. Showing up in an honest, authentic way that isn't always 100% is difficult. But this is hard work. This is how we get durable and really good at something. Performance principle 8 is our growth equation. Stress plus rest equals success. You do not get faster, you don't get stronger without stressing the physical system. You don't get a durable mindset by running away from stress. There's a problem in the sort of health psychology world, and it makes sense that we should avoid stress. We should run away from stress. I want less stress. I need less stress in my life. We all accept this. Like, yeah, this is what we want. Well, actually, we're seeing more and more that that's not true. It's the interpretation of stress that really predicts your outcomes. So if you think stress is to be avoided and you run away from it, you're more likely to die early and earn less money and not get promotions. The same amount of stress, interpreted differently as a challenge, as something that I welcome and I want to invite, tends to show us longer lifespan, healthier outcomes physically, greater job satisfaction, earning more earning potential. This research is first and foremost out of the Stanford lab, and then there's more growing from there. But it's showing us that stress isn't the problem. We need stress. We understand stress. We've got to stress, and then we need to rest. We've got to give ourselves permission to rest. It's probably true that rest has been looked at as something that's like kind of weak in the mental space. Like, I stay up all night, and I wake up early in the morning, right? And this is a hallmark of me being strong. And really what it is showing us they're about to burn out. I mean, the trajectory for that person is burnout. Stress plus rest is where we get success. Without this equation, we end up just quitting. We end up saying, this is too hard, and I don't know that I have what it takes, and so I'm done. I'm tired of showing up and not being able to hack it. I'm going to quit. The challenge here is to say, okay, what does it look like for me to rest, and when do I do it? And before I quit, can I try and program in some time for rest? Whether it's sleep, it's a walk around the block, it's a vacation away from the family if we need that. For our cadets, it's time and sponsor family houses or up in the mountains. We have to rest. It's critical. Principle 9, brain health and mental health. There are schools of thought, and I think they're accurate, that brain health and mental health are the same thing. I agree. I think they're related inextricably, like they necessarily go together. But I want to tell you this story. I was at a residency at Wright-Patterson, and we went to a cadaver lab, and we did a brain dissection. And it was gnarly. We pulled the brain out, and we held it, and it was this gooey substance, and we're trying to figure things out. And I'm standing there realizing I have no clue who this person is. And yet, I'm holding their memories. And I'm holding what they love and hate, and everything about them is in my hands, and I know nothing about them. The brain, this physical structure, is incredible, and out of the brain is this wonderful, incredible thing called the mind, and it exists. But it's more, it's a part of the brain. We've probably done ourselves a disservice out of the COVID world by saying there's this huge mental health problem. I think something's going on in that space, but I don't know that it's only a mental health problem. I think we have a brain health problem. If you and I were elite trainers for an ultramarathoner, and they came into our office and showed us all their medals, and then they said, in the last year I've quit running as fast as I used to. We said, well, let's talk through what's going on. They said, well, I'm doing all my training correctly, but I've stopped drinking any water. You know, and we'd be like, well, you got to hydrate your ultramarathon. No, I don't need any water. That's not something I need to do. I'm just not a runner. I'm just not. And we look at him and we say, but you are. Look at your history. No, I'm not a runner because I'm cramping and I have brain fog, but you're not hydrating. Like, this doesn't even make sense to us, right? You hydrate, you train the physical system. Well, in the mental health world, we doom scroll for hours as we chug our third Red Bull, and we look up and we say, I got anxiety. Or we isolate and we don't go to bed and we put off assignments and we don't connect to people we love or do things we think are important, and then we say, I'm depressed. Yes, you probably are, but I don't know that this is depression. I wonder if this is brain health. There are things we can do that help load us to optimal health of the brain. And those necessarily lead us towards something in the mental health space that's really productive. And when life gets difficult, because it does, the brain health is more able to handle those stressors because the conditions are set to push through them well. For some of us, mental health and brain health are very related, and we're still struggling, and we're doing everything we can. And can I tell you, this is okay. That's why people exist, to help you out. If you have an ACL tear, you go to an expert. If you've got depression, you go to an expert. This is okay. This is normal. Welcome to being a human. But can I say that I think we need to focus on brain health and how we're doing in that space to help load us into something that's durable and lets us last for a long, long time in an optimal way. Brain health and mental health. Principle 10. We have to work to respond and not simply react. I have 3 little brothers. They're like giant, handsome, hulking men, and I'm the oldest runt. But they're cool. We used to go surfing growing up, and so we would kind of surf up and down the coast out in California, and we were terrible at it, but we went anyway. If any of you have surfed, you know that the swells come in pretty consistently, and you can kind of watch and gauge, hey, is this something I want to swim out in, or is it not? To swim out to surf, you have to paddle beyond a break. So the waves come in and they crash, and there's white water and churn, and it can be kind of wild in that moment. But beyond that break is calm depth. It's really quite peaceful. You turn around and you can see it breaking up there. But you sit in the lineup and you watch a swell come your way, and you begin to learn, hey, this is a swell that looks way too big for me. If I get on this sucker, it's going to eat me up as it breaks on shore, and then I'm caught in the whitewash. Or you sit and you say, this one looks a little messy. It's not worth my time. I'm not going to jump on this one. I'm going to wait for the next one to come. You pick and you choose, when do I ride this wave in? So much of us in the mental space live in the white water. We live in the churn. Like, we just let the waves crash on us, and then we're thrashing around. We come up for air finally, and then guess what? Another one comes. And we're saying, this is exhausting. I can't do this anymore. We've got to work to swim beyond the break, out to where we can watch something happen and choose a pattern of response instead of just reacting to the next wave that slams us. We do this by taking some breaths, spending some time. There are methods loaded into this that I think are really important, and they exist around the world of mindfulness. In your playbook, I ask you the question, what are some areas for you that you find yourself reacting instead of choosing a response? You'll know this because as you think back on the situation, you wonder, like, man, why did I say that? Why did I do that? I'm embarrassed that I did that. I wish I would not have. Those sorts of things cue you in to say, that's a react mode. You are just getting slammed by the waves of life, and we've got to choose the pattern of response. We can train that. Swimming out beyond the break. I have a bonus for you. Performance principle bonus. It takes a team. Every single major sporting event has figured out that it takes a team. Even individual sports have a team around them pushing toward excellence. They do not wait until they're broken. They're in early and often figuring out how they continue to push 1% each day. It takes a team. You have to assemble a team around you that covers all of the different needs that you might have. Supportive, fun, challenging. And just like a coach on a field of play, you've got your team ready, and based on what's happening during the game, you call a package. You might need a big bruising running back or a high-flying wide receiver. You've got the team ready so that when life comes at you and you respond, you've got a team. They're backing you and ready to help you press into something that's lasting, that you can be proud of, and that you care deeply about. It takes a team. So this is the only moment we have. This is the only moment we have control over and that we live in. May this be the moment that you choose to stand up and say, I'm going to lead myself well because this world needs me to lead others. May this be the moment that we say, I'm no longer going to talk to myself in ways that demean or demoralize who I am, but they come from a true, authentic self, and they push me into something that this world is calling me to be. May this be the day that you say, I have a team around me that encourages me to show up even when I don't feel like I have it, because I want to be consistent for myself and those people around me. This is the day that a durable mindset becomes something important to you, because we need this world to have leaders that can withstand in an authentic way the challenges that are coming at us. It is such an honor and such a privilege to partner with you as we do this, and I am so thankful, and I think we have some time for questions. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Dr. Small, thank you for your message today. At this time, I would like to open the floor for questions. Attendees can ask questions at the stationed microphones on the two sides of the floor.
Right here. I'm Cadet 3rd Class John Paul Stolle from Squadron 21. My question for you was that Principle 6 really resonated with me. What are some of the habits of the most consistent leaders that you've worked with?
Oh, what are some of the habits of the most consistent leaders? Good. So the simple habit of showing up and knowing you need to show up is really critical. So I'm reinforcing a point we just made. What's your first name? John Paul, love it. John Paul, can I say also that if we show up to every single thing we're asked to do, we're going to get burned out. Another really good habit of someone that's consistent is knowing what they need to be consistent in. So boundaries are really important. Can I give you a free one here? Here's a few really important areas to consider boundaries. So we should think about whether we should act on something if we fit all of these categories. So one, we have the expertise to respond in this space. So if someone's asking you to do something, or you need to do something, and you want to be able to be consistent, you should say, well, is this something that I'm good at or need to be good at? Is this in my role? So expertise. Time is another one. Like, no kidding, do I have the time right here, right now to do it? Or is this something that needs to come later? Space is another one. So like if I'm walking somewhere and maybe I have a few minutes to talk about something, but they want to do like a project, right? I'm going to say, well, I have time to talk about it, and I'm not going to be able to get to this because I don't have the space to do it until tomorrow. Okay? And then finally, energy. So no kidding, do I have enough energy to do this? Like, do I have too much in my day that's sucking up time and energy? So it's skill, it's time, it's space, and it's energy. If all of those conditions are met, then I think relying on this idea that I need to be consistent and show up is really okay at that point. And it should match a schedule. We should have an idea about, like, what am I going to do today and where am I going to go, and then making sure we're showing up to those events that we've asked ourselves to show up to. When I drive home, I'm in work mode until I get home, and I generally spend 15 seconds or so in my car. I need a few minutes to sort of decompress and switch. My family deserves to have me in dad mode, fully dad mode, right? So I want to be consistent in showing up, and so I program in breaks as well to kind of shift focus on what I'm supposed to do. So boundaries is really critical. We should be consistent on those things that match our boundaries, showing up. And then having periods of time to switch, I think, is a good one too. John Paul, is that fair? Good answer? Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Brian Girardi. I'm an instructor of officership at the United States Military Academy. I personally identified a lot with Principle 9, and I think one of the most challenging aspects of my job is interacting with cadets on a daily basis who I think, like many of us, are sleep deprived, and maybe it's generational differences. They're participating in the society where you can stay at your desk for hours at a time, and things are going to get delivered to you, and you can sort of participate in life through a digital screen.
Yes.
Outside of making it a graded event, which I'm not even sure legally I could do, how can I help my students understand that mental wellness and their actual biological brain health are so linked, and to sort of help them overcome and make better choices about their own durable mindsets?
Yes. Yeah, thank you for what you're doing too. It's so important. And to have you caring about this and talking this way with them now is, I think, just critical as they continue to grow, and eventually you're going to lead our forces. I'm sorry to say this, but it's true. Your challenge is our challenge. We agree entirely. This is forever and always, I think, a banner we want to champion and wave, and that is talking about excellence and the principles that bring us towards something that's really high quality and powerful and important. I'll tell you, we've tried to do blitzes of data. So we want to do things where we show rat brains grow when they sleep, and they don't grow in fact, they shrink a little bit when they don't sleep. And we try to show them some data on if you were to study for a few hours and then go to sleep and then wake up and review versus study all night, your outcomes on exams are well higher, statistically significantly higher. I think life pushes in on cadets in particular and our midshipmen, and it can be really difficult to shut off this drive to try and do more to perform. So I'm wondering now, actually, if it's less about us trying to show the data that, hey, this is what works. I think they know that. I'm wondering if it's actually more of a cultural problem where we feel like we can't shut it off. We have to have the switch on forever and always. And culture is a fun challenge to change, but it can be hard. So I don't think it's really about us telling them or trying to convince them, it's all here, you should do this. I think I know that. I just can't actually make it happen because what am I supposed to do tomorrow? To that end, I would also say we should be leading ourselves this way. So trying to use the principles we're teaching is really important. We should be getting adequate sleep. We should be having intervals of rest and recovery mixed with bouts of really hard intentional work. And I think talking to them that way could be important too. I wish I had a better answer. I don't. I will say we should continue to partner in this. I mean, if anyone has ideas, we should mind meld and let's figure this thing out. You're nodding as I say something, so you're resonating with some of it too, which I love. But is that a fair enough partial answer?
Thank you so much. I think the cultural aspects of this are the hardest part.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I think we should continue to work together to solve this wicked problem. So thank you, sir.
And I think partnering together to be the culture changers is really important too. So continue to press in to say, this is what we're doing and why, join me, those sorts of things. Yeah, thank you.
We have time for one more question.
Dr. Bob Lowe, class of 71. Sir, PTSD is a reality that we don't fully understand.
Yes.
How would you advise us to work with family members or friends who suffer PTSD?
Yeah, good. So the question is about family members and friends who have PTSD, okay, yeah, great. And then working with in terms of colleagues and friends and mentors, supports, or working with?
Well, I guess I'm looking for some general guidance.
Yeah, okay.
And maybe some ideas on how we can help them. I know you need to get them the help they need, but our interaction with them is difficult.
Yes. Okay, PTSD is sort of like an elevated version of something we feel every day. And so something happens in our life, and our brain encodes it as a threat, and then naturally we say, well, I need to avoid the threat. So this food tastes bad. Threat, I don't want to eat the food, or I got sick eating it, so now I can't have Taco Bell anymore. PTSD, now I'm not trying to belittle it, certainly, I'm trying to kind of paint the picture. PTSD is this times magnified infinity because it was a threat to the very livelihood of our systems or those around us. So it's a very real feeling to have difficulty in social interaction and going to certain areas. To that end, the treatment for post-traumatic stress is exposure. It's working in ways to get them exposed to the thoughts and the stimulus that causes the reaction, but doing it in a gentle way. And that really should be done therapeutically. There should be a psychologist, a social worker, a psychiatrist involved in that process on the clinical side. But I would say as like a family unit or a leadership unit or a team, we've got to first understand that this person, by showing up today, has made huge leaps in some of what the diagnosis is wanting them not to do, and that's not show up. So honoring that they're there. And we can do this in really intentional but easy ways. So like, Jim, it's so good to see you. Every morning you show up and it just means a lot to see you, right? Fist bumps, those sorts of things. If we know there's arenas for them that give them challenge, if it's public forums, you might say, hey, I know this can be hard sometimes. Can we go together? Can I go with you? Oh, I don't know if I can do that. I understand, totally understand. I think recognizing that the process for them of engaging in situations that simulate the same stress their brain is telling them to run from is really, really important. So I think maybe in that too, there's this idea of grace for them, which I'm very confident you're practicing, but that can be so hard. It's saying, I know, and you might say this internally or externally based on your relationship, but I know they're struggling right now to just simply show up, and they did it, and that means a whole lot to me, and I think I'm going to be there for them. But it is a challenge. Post-traumatic stress is a challenge, absolutely. And there's ways to think about before they leave and after they come back from those events that are causing them some struggle. But as they get back, community and support is really critical. We know this. Outcomes therapeutically or diagnostically, and certainly with regard to risk of suicide, community is critical. So I think just staying close and a linkage for support and someone to talk to, or at least feel like, oh, there's goodness in the world, that's really, really critical. And it might be the most critical thing there for sure. So being there and being just a good source of support for them is important. Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Dr. Small, for your time. Your perspective and experience speaks to how we can reimagine leadership and inspire teamwork. On behalf of the U.S. Air Force Academy and our National Character and Leadership Symposium, please accept this token of our gratitude. The base of this gift is significant to us because all cadets ran the marble strips during their freshman year. We hope you will look fondly on this and remember your NCLS experience fondly. This concludes our session. We encourage you to stop by our testimonial booth on the south side of the Arnold Hall foyer, where you can record an audio or video review of this session and your overall thoughts on NCLS 2023. Cadets, please check in for this session using the posted QR code. Thank you and have a wonderful day.